Welcome to episode 2 of Going Beyond Spaces with Gala. I am so excited to have a former virtual Beyond Spaces client with me. Her name is Brenda. She's fabulous. She's amazing. My best friend Hassani introduced us, and I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so excited to be here.
Fabulous. Okay, so before we start, we're going to do a little icebreaker. And of course, it's related to interior design. So I want to know, what do you love about your home or office? And just the first thing that comes to mind.
My plans.
Boom. I love it. And what do you dislike?
My clutter.
We're going to talk about that. Brenda, we're going to talk about that today. Because you actually schooled me on clutter. I learned a lot from you when we had our virtual consult. So I'm excited to get into it because I think it could help a lot of our listeners. So the first question is, aside from being highly recommended from my bestie Hassani, why did you decide to do a Beyond Spaces consult with me?
Okay, so aside from Hassani, because we know Hassani is the bee's knees, I had been following you on social media, of course, through Hassani. And I really loved your approach. And I felt like this is someone who is going to get my kookiness, if you will, like how important the feng shui piece is, how important these elements outside of what traditional design would encompass, right, would be present with you. So I was like, I think this is someone who understands the importance of how you feel when you come in, or what is in the way of you getting to what you want to feel in your space. And so I decided this person is for me.
I love it. Yes. You know, I did a bunch of these virtual consults, and what I noticed was that because you were already there mentally, spiritually, we went a lot deeper in our sessions than I was able to with a lot of other people. And so I think that's a big part of it, knowing that connection and then, you know, being excited to jump in and work in a much deeper way than, like you said, traditional interior design. So what was the consult like for you? Because you feel vulnerable when you let somebody in and you share photos of your home and they're reading your home and, you know,
Listen,
so tell me about that.
The horror. Because you asked for pictures and I was like, am I really going to expose myself? Like, she knows someone I love. And is she going to reveal my dirty secrets?
Never.
Yes. And so that was really challenging. Like, am I going to have the courage to actually be honest about what I'm really looking at? And it was a point in my life that I knew I was in trouble because of the amount of clutter that was present. And so I knew that there was something else going on, that this clutter was really an indication of something else. But it was frightening. Now, once I got past that, the way that you received me made me feel so seen and so validated and so safe and so non-judged that I was like, okay, we can rock and roll. Like, we're going to get stuff done because she sees me, she's not judging me, and she understands the spiritual component of what's happening in the space.
Yeah.
So it was great.
I appreciate that, and I value that, because it is so hard to let somebody in, even if they're an expert, into your space, especially if you're feeling like it's less than. So I appreciate that. Okay, so as we sort of delved into the photos that you sent, and for instance, I remember your desk was a big point of contention, and we tied that back to a career change and not wanting to let that go. So when we got into the desk and what that exemplified, and maybe you can speak on it, how did you feel?
It was such a liberating experience because no one understood in my family, like my friends, like they don't understand, like, why do you need a desk? And just to shed some light on it, I used to be a teacher. And so my desk was a really important part of my life because that was where I held everything, my lesson plans, my teacher notes, my student work, you know, all of the things that I love, like my office supplies. I'm an office supply junkie. like that's where I go to get high. I go to Staples and I'm like excited.
Office supply to get high.
Yes, that's my jam. And so I had such a light bulb moment, like, oh my God, I still haven't let go of my teacher identity. And that's what this desk represented. And I just couldn't believe, like, I thought it was my books. I thought it was children's books that I was holding on to. I thought it was a bunch of other things. But this desk was a pretty significant piece of that life, of mourning that career, because I haven't been a teacher in over 10 years and I was still holding on to that identity.
So where is the desk? Is the desk still there?
Okay.
Is the desk uncluttered? I need an update on the desk.
So listen, I told myself a lie this weekend that I was going to tackle the desk so that I could be really good for this episode, but I have failed miserably. Okay, people. So if any of y'all are struggling with not quite getting there, it's okay. It's okay. So there's progress. Though.
And what did I tell you, Brenda? I said sometimes we have to collect more research before we get inspired to make change.
Yes.
That's it. That's all it is. No judgment.
So I'm collecting research. This is where I'm at now with the desk. So the desk is the bane of my existence. The desk is the frog that I cannot conquer. Okay. This desk, when I throw this desk out, I'm going to have a party. I just want to
I hope I'm invited.
If I could burn this desk, I would. Okay. So this is where I'm at. So I couldn't bring myself to move the desk to the area that you had suggested to, because I realized I don't even want to look at the desk. And from where I sit to do my work, where I do enjoy working from, I would be looking at it and it would still be a sore. Yeah. So I decided that I wanted to actually get rid of it permanently.
Ooh, okay. So we didn't talk about that.
No.
Okay, so that happened afterwards. That's amazing.
That happened as a result of my 21-day decluttering event. So I thought to myself, well, what do I need? What do I want to keep? What do I want to look at? Right.
And also what represents me now and who I want to become in the future, right?
Yes. So it's all about stepping into this new version of me. And this represents the old version of me.
Hell yeah.
And it's broken to boot. It's like the drawer won't close. So what I did 2 weeks ago, as I had this realization, was I emptied everything out of the desk.
Okay.
And I decided on what was the piece that I wanted to put up against the wall that would serve the purpose that I needed.
Okay.
Right. So I've got those two. I've got that sorted out. I know what's going to go there. I know how I'm going to use it. But I got stuck when I emptied everything out and I put everything on top of the desk because I didn't necessarily have a home for these things.
So you got overwhelmed.
Yes.
And then that paralyzed you. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So is the stuff still on the desk?
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. It's judging me.
Okay.
It's like, bitch, you did not do what you said you was going to do. And so we're just fighting all day long.
Okay. So what do you think I would say to you about how to approach the stuff on the desk?
I think I know.
Okay. I'm sure you know.
I think. I put everything in a box.
Before that,
I don't know. Am I going through it?
That's the thing you're trying to avoid, the going through it, because that's the hard part of the part that you hate.
Yes, it is. I don't want to go through it.
So, going through it and just asking yourself, what sparks joy? What represents me now? And that's a fuck yes and a keep it and a find a home for it and spend energy to find a new place for it. And if it's, I'm holding on to this because I'm sad, what it represents, then we're going to the past. Then we're going to guilt. That's a lower vibration. Or even nostalgia, right? Nostalgia could be good if you look back and it's this positive reminder. But if it's a look back and it's like, I'm sad I don't have that, then that's a different story. And so we don't want to bring that energy into your space now because you got big things to do. You're on to bigger and better things, girl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I know
you are.
Yes.
So I don't want that holding you back. And so it's really just about, okay, this is more about me stepping into my power. This is a part of it. Going through these things, as torturous as it is a part of it. And You're doing the research of what it is to have it sitting there looking at you, judging you. And then one day, ya está, I'm ready. Boom, you're going to do it, you know? And you just apply that process and poco a poco. And if you have to stop in between and go do it a week later, that's okay too. But, you know, that's going to be, I think, the final puzzle piece of what you and I started. I think because we talked about other parts of the home. How are those feeling? Is it really just the desk now, or are there some other things that are still bothering you?
So the table is still bothering me, but it's currently being used to house my puzzle work. So I've been puzzling.
Okay.
But I also know that has to go.
Okay. So again, still doing the research and knowing, you have a clear vision of what needs to happen, and now it's just doing it. And you are on your way, because we talked like 3 or 4 months ago to now, that's a big change.
It is. You know what I think I've really been sitting with?
Yeah.
I'm going to be really honest in terms of moving things. It's the acceptance.
What about that frightens you or holds you back?
Because it's accepting this new me. It's accepting this new version of me and moving these things around and getting rid of things. It's all about, am I really going to accept who I'm becoming?
Wow. Yes. Like, we want something for ourselves, but nobody talks about how it's scary to level up to that new version of ourselves, and that it means leaving old parts that felt good. And that's why I think so many people stay the same. They want to change, but it's easier to stay the same than to step into change, right? And go after what we really want.
Yeah. And it's also about mourning, right, who I used to be. So when I think about the kitchen table, for the dining room table, whatever that thing is, which I don't use, but it's also like, Brenda, you will never be this cultural expectation that society has. You are not going to be the woman who cooks and serves and entertains. That is not who you are. And all these years I've been fighting to try and be that and to please the culture or please the family. And you know what? It's not going to happen. For me.
I just love the connection you just made between the simple dining room table and what it could possibly represent to somebody, or what it represents to you, and culturally what's expected of a woman, and how liberating that connection of just getting rid of that dining table is going to be for you, and sort of renouncing what's expected and stepping into, no, this is who I want to be. I don't give a shit what you think I should do, who I should entertain, who I need to cook for.
Right.
Damn.
Right. Listen, I may not even be cooking.
Take out for days. Listen.
Listen, I mean, it's for the birds. If you love that, I'll happily pay you to do that for me. Right.
Yes.
The same way we would pay for an interior designer, the same way we would pay for a housekeeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a slave to that identity. And I think that I was a slave to that identity, right? Yeah. Holding myself up against that, putting this pressure on myself and not enjoying my space because it reminds me of what I'm not.
Girl, you are, I don't even need to be here. You just put the pieces together I don't even need to say anything. This is your podcast, basically. This is your podcast.
No, this is what happens when you meet someone who understands that these design issues are really deeper than just the aesthetic. Yeah. They're really deeper than, I think for a long time, we've sort of addressed it on the surface. Let's just look at the aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I want to get to the root of it, because I want to love coming into my home. I want to love my space, and I want other people to love it too. And I want it to be a reflection of who I really am.
100%. And you want to look around and not look at something that's an immediate energy drain, because day after day of seeing that thing, the dining room table or the desk, it's depleting you. And our homes that we're paying for, it needs to be our nest. It needs to nurture us. And so many people are unaware, because we're adaptable human beings, we put our blinders on, we focus on what we need to, we're not tapping into how our environment's feeling. And so daily we're being depleted and we don't even know it, and we don't know the reason why. That connection between you and the dining room table and what it represents. I'm sure so many people can relate to that if they pull the layers back of, shit, why am I holding on to this? I hate this, you know? So thank you for bringing that to light and sharing that, girl. Thank you.
And also, I mean, this is all as a result of these conversations that we've had and that we're having that are actually going beneath the surface, right?
Yeah.
It's also like the research piece. Again, I'm still working on the research piece, right? Because I'm looking at, well, how do I enjoy working?
Yeah.
What is actually working for me? What do I actually need?
Let's not just do this overnight. Let me sit with this. Let me see how I feel. That's so much about cultivating an intentional interior. It's not like, let me just throw it all together in a week, but let me really think about how I want this to feel. What's going to support me best every day? I love that.
And it's also the fusion of all these different parts of myself. So for example, I used to have a desk when I was a teacher, but I never sat at the desk. The desk was a container. It held my things. I actually sat at the kids' desk.
See, so like even then you were being you. You weren't being restricted by, oh, I'm a teacher, I have to sit behind my desk.
No, I didn't. It was a container. It was a space holder. And then what I'm realizing now as I think about, Brenda, you're doing research. Like, why can't you conquer this clutter, for example, that's at your couch? And it's because of the way I like to work, I'm realizing, right? So I like to work where I have access to the things and they need to be visible and they're right where I need them when I need them. So I don't have to, be stressed about finding things, right? So I understand that my workspace is going to look different than a desk and a chair.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And because it's work from home, one of the things then is like, cool, you can have your setup like that during the day. Then at the end of the day, spend 5 minutes, if you can, put it back somewhere so you don't see it, so you could be human at night. And then you bring it all out and make the mess during the day when you're working. And I think that's a part that a lot of people from working from home struggle with, that division, And so I always say that like cleaning up and organization at the end of the day is like a ritual to kind of break between the two worlds,
I love that. Yes, because I do like to lay out on my couch. The other reason I like to work off the couch, which is something that I learned, of course, research.
Yes.
As a result of being a teacher, I like to sit crisscross applesauce.
And that allows you to do it. You can't do that sitting in a chair.
No, not in the same level of comfort. And again, this is from sitting on the floor with kids, being at eye level with them. And, you're not sitting like, sometimes you sit in a chair to do your read alouds with kids and things like that. But for the most part, you're on the floor with them.
Yes.
And so this was how I sat and this is how I work. And so it was important for me to not put my little circle self in a square.
That's it right there. So it's interesting because you're able to do that in so many ways. But the last piece of that is that desk, which I want to remind you, you didn't even sit behind when you were a teacher.
Nope.
But that's the strong ties that we carry with our things and what they represent. And, you said to me in our consult, one of the other things that you were aware of, which taught me something, which was also like growing up, when you're living in a space that isn't as organized as you like it to be, even as an adult, if you want that, it's also hard to access that because you didn't have that as a child. And to think about it that way, I'm saying that for our listeners too. So if they're living in a space that has some clutter, what did your child home look like? And does your current home look like that, but you don't want it to, but that could be a reason why it's hard to make a change. And you brought that to light and I was like my head, blew up. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Both my table and my desk look like my dad's kitchen table because my dad worked on the kitchen table. And to the right of the kitchen table, all the bills were stacked and you couldn't touch them. And there was a cup with pens and pencils and all the things that he would need. And that is exactly what I have recreated that in every space I am in. Like my desk looks just like my dad's kitchen table. My table looks just like my dad. And it's also a way to be connected to him.
Yes, of course. Of course.
It's just wild how we recreate those childhood experiences.
And we don't even realize it.
Yes. And even though we're like, oh, I can't wait to get out of this house. I can't wait to not live the way these people live. And then you get your own space and you're living like those people you wanted to get away from. It's insanity. But yeah, here we are. So it's also about breaking up, I guess.
Yes, those patterns. Yeah. And I think just what you said, so many people can relate to that, like 100%. Now that you've made some of the changes, you're still in a research phase, but now that you've made some of them, are you getting more clarity? I talk about a lot of the times that connection between clutter and clarity. Are you feeling more powerful, more confident in your way forward? Talk to me a little bit how you're feeling after making some of these changes.
Definitely, I feel much lighter. I feel liberated, particularly around the constraints that I had created around you must have a dining room table. You must have a desk, right? So I feel liberated from that for sure. But also, one of the things that we talked about was how I understood and I knew that the clutter was stifling my creativity.
Yes.
And
yes,
I
and
just,
taking up space where
yes,
opportunities could be coming into your life.
absolutely. And so I was like, this is what's impeding me. And I have to somehow overcome this or like find a way to attack it. And so many ideas ended up being birthed as a result of really accepting, right, who I am, who I'm going to be, who I want to be, and also being okay with making these changes, being okay with getting rid of the desk. The desk is not my identity. You know, this is how I work. This is how I enjoy working from home. These are the things that I need to have around me. And it works. And so ideas have been popping off, conversations, collaborations, all these things are being born as a result.
It's like you get rid of some of the clutter and things flow. I think of like a dam, and then the dam opens and then the river's flowing. And that is the ultimate state you want to be in life, is just flowing, right? And it's so crazy because everybody, including myself, that's gone through this process, within weeks, something moves that wasn't moving before. It's crazy. Like, I know it, and yet I still, like, every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real. So, yeah. Good.
Yeah, I'm forever grateful because the way I'm looking at my space is different.
Yeah. So
right.
Are you looking at something over there and you're like, oh, I don't like that. What does that mean about me? Or like, in what way are you? Because this is how I live my whole life. And it could be torturous too, because I'm like constantly analyzing, you know, it's bad.
Yeah. No, sometimes that does happen. Like you start to really interrogate. And sometimes it's just like, get rid of the box. It's okay. Like it's not that serious, right?
It doesn't mean anything.
No, but it is not just about the aesthetic.
Okay.
The aesthetic is important, but it's also like, Brenda, I feel you're ready. You deserve nice things. You know, you can have nice things and you don't have to compromise who you are to have those. It doesn't have to be something that doesn't reflect who you are.
100%.
You know, and when I come in and people ask me, do you love where you live? I'm like, oh, I love where I live. But now I'm also thinking, how can I love it more?
Yes.
How can I love it more, right? So I've started shopping for the type of couch that I feel is a good reflection of me. And I'm going to love it more.
And if you're working from there every day, it's the ultimate investment. It's the perfect place to start for you, right? Because you are using it every day and it does need to support you and spark joy and all the things.
Okay. So I'm excited. I'm going to share something. Because I'm excited. Because I, you know, Latina, cleaning on Saturdays. You got to clean under the couch, under the bed, like all the things.
See?
I know. Yes. I know that I want a couch that I can mop under. I hate having couches that I have to move to clean under. I know that. And because I've accepted that this is how I work best from my couch, crisscross applesauce, you know, not a desk. I'm going to have the type of ottoman where I can put all this stuff in at the end of the day. Do you understand?
I'm saying, you don't need me, Brenda. You don't need me. I feel a little hurt right now.
No, this is the result of your work.
Brilliant. Right? Yes.
And so the space.
Put it all away. Yep.
Yes. And it's manageable. It's manageable. It's not this, oh, I got to get up and I got to go. No, this is where it lives.
Yes.
And in the morning, I get to take it out.
Ritual. There's your ritual right there. With one intentional purchase of furniture and thoughtful purchase, you just created the ritual to break up that work from home day and that let me become a human day.
Yes. Because here's the other thing. I also understand that these are the roots, right? This is the real underlying piece of it, but I still don't have a handle on the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I still need help with the aesthetic because I'm entering this new place where I am accepting myself, where I'm no longer pretending not to be who I am or hide behind the title. Because like people used to ask me like, why do you have so many books? And I used to be like, oh, because I'm a teacher, just so that they could get off my back. But you know what? I have books because I love them, because they bring me joy.
boom, even more powerful because you're not hiding behind a title. You're just like, this is what I like.
Right.
Take it or leave it.
Right. So now I still need you because I'm still trying to figure out, well, I hate that bookshelf over there and this doesn't work. So how can I make this like a book-centered space? So listen, we still have work to do.
Okay, good. Thank you. I feel better now. Brenda, you are such a ray of light. I feel so blessed to have gotten to work with you. I'm your biggest fan, just so you know. I'm here for this journey that you're on, and thank you for coming on and being my first guest. I wouldn't have wanted anybody else.
Such an honor. It's such an honor because it's just wild. Sometimes there are people that you meet and boom, perfect connection, spark. We get each other. Yeah. I felt immediately like I could be myself completely, unapologetically. I could throw my F-bombs and it was all good. Once you saw all of my skeletons, I was like, if she didn't judge me, we're good. And now we could get some real work done. So I'm here for it. Y'all expect an update in a few months.
That's right. Next season is going to be the update with Brenda because now everybody really wants to hear about your journey, obviously. I mean, why wouldn't they?
No, and we'll share before and after. I'm going to have the courage to share that nightmare.
It's going to be amazing. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you. Thank you for doing work that is in alignment with who you are and that you haven't backed away from really sharing with folks the importance of getting underneath it all.
Thank you. That means a lot.